Hi and welcome to the Malat cookery channel. So today I'm doing a really simple vegetable chow mein. So I've been with a good friend of mine this week, Chow, who is a fantastic restaurateur. He has two Chinese takeaways here in the northwest of the UK. And David has been reviewing some of the Chinese cooking that I've done previously on the Malat YouTube cookery channel and come up with, let's say, some constructive remarks in order to improve things. So that's what I'm going to go through in this video today. I can tell you now, those subtle changes have made an amazing difference in the quality of the food that I can now produce. So some of his remarks, one of them was that practice what you preach. So in some of the videos I talk about that the heat of the wok is so important to the end flavour of what you produce with regard to Chinese cooking. I think over 50% of the flavour in Chinese cooking, when you're talking about a wok, comes from the wok, the heat of the wok itself. Now I'll talk about that in the videos, but as far as David can see, I don't practice what I preach, so the wok is definitely too cool to produce some really good results, so I'm working on that as well. The second thing is the ingredients. As he's looked through some of the videos, the ingredients have other things have started to creep into the ingredients, have become a little bit too complicated, and from his remarks it's always best to be as simple as possible with the ingredients, so I've worked on that as well. Another remark is that I'm using too much oil. And so David has showed me a good technique to use when we're using the wok in order to ensure that there isn't too much oil in the wok. And then the last thing is, I always talk about the wok, the heater that we're using with regard to a domestic cooker not being great, not to overload the wok, and obviously to get the wok as hot as possible. But again, practice what you preach. From some of the videos, he thinks I'm putting a little bit too much ingredients, or the quantity of the ingredients in the wok, and that's producing not a like a frying method, but more of a stewing method. So with this, I'm not going to do more than 2 portions in a wok at any one time of any of the ingredients, because if you think about it, with a Chinese takeaway, the chefs are only really doing 1 portion at a time, 2 maximum. If they get an order in where 2 sort of family members have ordered the same meal, then they will start to do sort of 2 portions, but no more than 2 portions in the wok. So I'm going to reduce the amount of food or ingredients that I place in the wok at any one time. As usual, a full list of ingredients will be given at the end of the video, so let's have a look at those ingredients now and anything else we're going to need for today. So these are the ingredients for our basic vegetable chow mein, and this is enough ingredients for 2 people. So I'm using some medium egg noodles, and there are actually 6 portions in here, so it's 1 portion of medium egg noodles per person. I've got 260 grams of just a basic stir-fry vegetable mix, about 50 milliliters of water. Going to be using about half a teaspoon of pure sesame oil, 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce, about half a teaspoon of corn flour, and some vegetable oil for frying. So the first thing we need to do before we start any cooking is to pre-soak our dried egg noodles with some boiling water from the kettle. So this kettle is only just boiled. So we cover our nests of egg noodles with the boiling water. We're going to leave those to sit now for 5 minutes and then break them up with a fork just to make sure that they're not stuck together. So the basic ingredients for a decent chow mein sauce are oyster sauce and sesame oil. So we've got our 50 milliliters of water. We add in our 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce. Half a teaspoon of our sesame oil. Just Just make sure you don't add too much, because the sesame oil will overpower everything else in flavour. And then half a teaspoon of our corn flour. And all we need to do is just whisk all of that together. So when we're ready to do our cooking, I've got a well-seasoned wok. This tip about not having too much oil in the wok when we start to cook. So I've got a bowl with some vegetable oil in. We pour that into the wok. A little bit of kitchen paper as well. Coat the wok quite well all the way around. So I've got this on the highest or the largest gas ring, the highest temperature. I'm going to start to bring it up to temperature now. And then this bowl with the oil in, once we've coated the wok in the oil, pour off any excess. And this is basically the same principle that happens in a Chinese takeaway or restaurant. They have a pan of oil, place oil into the wok, heat the wok up, coat the wok inside with the oil, and then pour off any excess. And that's basically what I'm doing here, and that's obviously one of those tips from David. So now all we've got is we've just got a nice thin coating of oil in the wok. And again, one of the tips now, the crucial thing is to get this wok up to temperature, get that oil smoking quite nicely. And it's getting that really high temperature before any food touches the wok at all. So once we've got this up to a nice high temperature, first thing we're going to do is to fry the vegetable. Same principle as if hopefully you've seen in some other videos of mine. So make sure that as much of that food is in contact with the surface area of the wok to get that flavour going. So I'm going to be frying this for about 3 or 4 minutes, just moving the vegetables around every so often, obviously just to make sure they don't burn. So once I'm happy with the veg, I'm going to reserve this in a bowl to one side and then fry the noodles. So exactly the same principle with the noodles as we did with the veg. So oil into the pan or into the wok. Just make sure that's coated. Oil back into the bowl. And then get this up to a nice high temperature again. So in with our drained noodles. So just a couple of minutes. About 2 or 3 minutes for these noodles. So back in with our veg. want to mix that in. So once that's been cooking again for another minute or so, in with the sauce. And I'm just going to cook this through for maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then that's the dish complete. So there you go, some really subtle changes. They've made a huge difference. I can't really describe the difference that they've made. It's just a case, I think, of going back and reassessing what you do, because habits do tend to creep in, especially when it comes to cooking, and you can start to drift off, which is clearly what I've done. I hope you enjoyed the video. Those key points which I've made in the video, they do make a crucial difference. Please subscribe to the channel, and as usual, if you've enjoyed this particular video, hit the like button. Thank you very much for watching.